Hello and welcome to the very first episode of our new show, Nile TV Live Newsroom. I'm Raham Morsi and I'll be presenting this new show. Let's first get to know what the show is all about. This show is a fast-paced show that focuses on international, local events and that we think are important for you to know. The show is composed of a number of different news segments. We're going to be looking at the most important news items in the world of politics, a closer look at the world of finance, and what's trending in the world of sports. Not only that, but we will also be looking in at the latest tech news and highlights on the most important art and cultural events. So let's get started with our first item. First, let's start off with Egypt celebrating the 6th of October War. This October marks the 49th anniversary of the 1973 war. It was an epic confrontation between Egypt and Israel in which the Egyptian army restored the Sinai Peninsula. The October War demonstrated the ingenuity of planning and accuracy of execution of battles by the Egyptian army. Here's a closer look at the history of this war.
The Egyptian army launched a surprise attack against Israeli forces in the occupied Sinai on the 6th of October 1973. Supported by the Air Force, the army pushed across the Suez Canal and dislodged the Israelis on the other side of the international water pathway. The Egyptian army defeated the Israeli enemy and regained Sinai after it had been occupied for 6 years. Tactically, the canal crossing was bold and ingenious. The Egyptian army had to destroy a giant defensive sand barrier known as Bar-Leaf Line along the eastern bank of the Suez Canal using high-pressure water hoses. They also installed pontoon bridges to transport armored vehicles, tanks and soldiers to the other side of the canal. More than 200 Egyptian warplanes carried out an air strike on the Israeli targets in the eastern bank of the canal. The planes flew at extremely low altitudes to dodge the Israeli radars. The warplanes targeted airports, command centers, radar stations, electronic obstruction, air defense batteries, personnel concentrations, armored vehicles, tanks, artillery, strong points in the Bar-Leaf Line, oil refinery, and ammunition stores. The October War was a turning point in the course of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Among the most prominent features of the October War is the emergence of the competent Arab fighter who is able to make modern and sophisticated weapons work in his favor. With this incredible military defeat at the hand of Egypt's president at the time, Anwar al-Sadat, would later sign the Camp David Accords with Israel to permanently free Sinai from occupation and once again raise our flag.
Joining us over the phone is Dr. Said Kholy, Professor of Economics at Ain Shams University, to shed more light on the celebrations. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us on our new program. Can you
You're
tell
welcome.
us, since we're celebrating the liberation of Sinai, what are the most important developments that have been made in the Sinai Peninsula to date?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the Nile TV international channel for launching the Newsroom, the first episode. I'm very glad to be a guest in your first show. Let me salute the Egyptian army for the 6th of October celebration, which we have a great win over Israel, and we have the integrity of Egyptian people again. Let me tell you, Sinai was ignored for many, many years.
Yes.
And since our leader, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, came to power, he really made a major development in Sinai. Now Sinai is different than before 67 and before 73. Now we have a lot of projects. mega project in Sinai, the government of Egypt spent over 900 billion Egyptian pounds to develop the infrastructure in terms of roads, in terms of housing, in terms of hospitals, in terms of civil service in Sinai. Sinai is the promising land for Egypt, and I believe there is a lot of natural resources available in Sinai, never being used. So Sinai is the virgin land which we can use it in order to develop our economical system in the future.
Yes, like you were saying that the peninsula itself generally was not was overlooked in the past, but now there are a lot of plans for the peninsula and how to improve it there. How do you see the government's efforts in improving the lives of locals in Sinai and their ways of living, making it more industrialized or making it more economically fruitful for them?
Of course, there is a lot of development and to improve the quality of life of Sinai people, and at the same time, Sinai with the mega project attracted many people outside of Sinai to come and work and live in Sinai. Sinai is simply the mega project. It is factory which employ a lot of Sinai people, plus people coming from the valley. Also the tunnels and the bridges made between the valley and Sinai, it helps the transportation and the logistics to come and go from the mainland to the peninsula of Sinai. Also, the tourism attraction in Sinai, for example, Santa Catherine and Sharm el-Sheikh, attracted many conferences, which is a plus for Sinai people and for the attraction and visiting people to Sinai. Also, there is a lot of health care.
Which brings me, sir, to the next idea. When it comes to the tourism industry, I know that the tourism industry was impacted in the last 2 or 3 years because of the COVID pandemic, in addition to economic crises. But what kind of efforts are we seeing when it comes to the Sinai Peninsula's tourism industry from the government? How are they planning on promoting it and bettering the tourism industry within the peninsula?
Tourism industry is very important, first of all, and there is many tourist attraction area in Sinai.
Yes.
Also, there is a lot of foreign direct investment going to Sinai. A lot of factories already started in Sinai, plus the development of, for example, Haya Karima.
Yes.
We have a big stand in Sinai in order to improve the quality of life of Sinai people. Sinai, as I mentioned before, it has a lot of mineral, and there is a lot of industry going to Sinai right now. The minute I'm speaking to you, it started before the last 3 years. We already started the infrastructure for mega project in Sinai. Also, we don't have to forget there is a lot of natural resources in Sinai, and I believe in the future we'll see Sinai in a different stage in Egyptian economy.
Here's to hoping that Sinai has a bright future ahead of it. Dr. Saeed Al-Kholy, Professor of Economics at Ain Shams University, thank you so much for joining us and enlightening us about the importance of the Sinai Peninsula. We're going to take a short break and get back to the rest of the episode. Lebanese depositors, including a retired police officer, stormed at least 4 banks in the cash-strapped country Tuesday after banks ended a weeks-long closure and partially reopened. As the tiny Mediterranean nation's crippling economic crisis continues to worsen, a growing number of Lebanese depositors have opted to break into banks and forcefully withdraw their strapped savings. Lebanon's cash-strapped banks have imposed informal limits on cash withdrawals. The break-ins reflecting growing public anger towards the banks and the authorities who struggled to reform the country's corrupt and battered economy. Petroleum Minister Tariq Al-Mullah discussed with a Kuwaiti economic delegation the investment opportunities in Egypt in the oil and gas sector. This came during the meeting of the Egyptian-Kuwaiti Cooperation Council, the visiting Kuwaiti economic delegation. Al-Mullah noted that the great development witnessed by industries like petrochemicals and fertilizers to maximize added value in Egypt through many ambitious projects to expand investments in this field, as Egypt is an important petrochemical hub. Moving on to sports news, this may be a little old, but it is something that will remain in the history books. Roger Federer announced his retirement last week and ended his career with a defeat in a doubles match with longtime rival and friend Rafael Nadal against Jack Sock and Francis Tiafoe. Despite the defeat, Federer received a 5-minute standing ovation, a testament to the unique and unforgettable mark he left in the sport of tennis. With seemingly endless rounds of applause and chants for Roger from crowds, Federer broke into tears, saying that he is happy but not sad, and adding that he enjoyed tying his shoes one last time, everything for the last time. Following 24 years of excellence on the court with more than 1,500 matches, 103 single titles and 20 Grand Slams, this was his final match. The epic tiebreak that sealed the win for the American pair was a fitting end, far surpassing expectation, its grandeur and quality. With the end of the match, the Federer career ended and a moment for the history books and sportsmanship and friendship emerged. And we saw Federer and Nadal both breaking into tears and holding hands, a testament to the sports. In tech news, US-based multinational technology company with a popular e-commerce website just announced a collection of product updates that tie together its vast suite of services and helps ensure it remains at the center of people's lives and homes. It unveiled its new Astro, the robot dog update, to help it better patrol the household when the owners are away. They rolled out its first major software update, Astro, an autonomous 20-pound dog-like robot with large cartoony eyes on its tablet-sized face with a cup holder. The robot uses voice recognition, software cameras, artificial intelligence, mapping technology, and voice and face recognition sensors as it zooms from one room to another, capturing live video and learning habits, adding the ability to monitor if windows or doors are left open. Buildings on the company that said users had been doing such as checking to see if the stove was left on. The next tech item we have is billionaire Elon Musk showcasing the latest prototype of a humanoid robot developed by his electric car company. Optimus appeared on stage at a Silicon Valley event where it waved to the audiences and raised its knees. The CEO said the robot was working in progress but could be on sale to the public in a few years' time. The company's mass-market robots will be tested by working jobs in the car factories. The prototypes were wheeled in on stage during an annual AI Day presentation. Musk said the robots would be produced en masse at a cost lower than $20,000 and be available in 3 to 5 years. But to put things in perspective, Optimus is not the first robot. Robots have been around for quite some time and have been used in a number of multinational companies and factories. Although Optimus is not the first or the most sophisticated, it will be the first to be sold to the masses. Musk said he wanted to solve one of the toughest problems in AI, how to make a machine that can replace humans. The entrepreneur, who once warned of AI being a threat to humanity, said that he wanted to make sure the transition to society in which robots did the work and people reaped the benefits. But don't fear, it seems that the Terminator end-of-world scenario is not anywhere near the future. Musk assured the audience that they would have stops and ways to stop the Terminator path, as he referenced in the Hollywood film, adding that they are building safeguards and a stop button that cannot be tampered with. Another interesting piece of news in the world of science and tech: a few asteroids striking the Earth's atmosphere every single day as it happens. Yet it's the big ones that we worry about, as depicted by many Hollywood films like Armageddon and Don't Look Up. But there have been dangerous asteroid strikes since 2018. 66-foot rocks from the space injured 1,500 people and damaged thousands of buildings in Russia. NASA thinks it's time to prepare for the next one. NASA embarked on finding a way to deflect these orbital threats by creating the DART mission. DART stands for Double Asteroid Redirection Testing because its target is, in fact, a double asteroid that orbits the Sun. The main asteroid, Didymos, is about half a mile across and has a moonlet of its own. Just a few days ago, NASA's spacecraft intentionally slammed into an asteroid in humanity's first test for planetary defense. The impact occurred in the early evening hours of U.S. Eastern Time, greeted the cheers from the mission team. The DART mission, while the asteroid was not at risk of impacting Earth, this demonstration could help determine how to deflect space rocks that could pose a threat to the Earth in the future. The actual estimates for when the spacecraft's efficiency will appear is within the next 2 months or so. And moving on to the arts and culture, Egypt last week celebrated 200 years since deciphering the Rosetta Stone. The stone was discovered in 1799 by a French soldier in the Napoleon army. The ancient Egyptian stone bears inscriptions in Greek and Egyptian hieroglyphics. When French Egyptologist Jean-François Champollion cracked the code and deciphered the hieroglyphics in 1822, the language and culture of ancient Egypt was suddenly open to researchers as never before. Marking the discovery and the creation of Egyptology as a series of events are being organized by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. The Nemek Museum in Cairo launched on Saturday a 2-day program to teach children about the ancient Egyptian language via sculpture and painting workshops. The ministry also launched a social media campaign explaining hieroglyphics, as well as to display artifacts that are key to understanding ancient Egyptian civilization. This is in addition to free access to all museums nationwide to the public.